Hmm.
Hi.
Greetings, greetings, blessings to you. How are you?
Thank you, Jerome. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Doing amazing, doing amazing. And just, it's great to see your smiling face. It's great to feel your energy.
Thanks. Thank you. Same, likewise.
Yes, yes. And I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's Iona?
Yes, you nailed it. Perfect.
Okay, good, good. Wow. Iona, for people who don't know, where are
Mhm.
you in the world? Where are you?
So I'm in Glasgow, Scotland. Sunny Scotland. Not so sunny.
You said not so sunny right now?
Yeah. Yeah, not so sunny. I mean, it's now Scotland. It's kind of touch and go. Mostly raining most of the time.
Most of the time. Okay, so
Most of
like
the time.
okay, usually it's a lot of rainy days. So when you get a lot of
Mhm.
sunlight, it's really
It's it's go time. Get out there.
okay.
Get the vitamin D. Go, go, go.
Got you, got you. So how long have you been in Scotland? How long have you been there?
My whole life. So I was born here. I was born in the southwest of Scotland, in like the most rural part of the country. Beautiful part. I feel so grateful for growing up there, actually. And then moved up to Glasgow to go to university. Went down to London for a while to
Mhm.
work. Got massive burnout, and then moved back to Scotland. So, yeah, I've been in Glasgow on and off for about 25 years, something like maybe more. Yeah, over 20 years,
25 years. Wow, you're
maybe
so
more.
young. You're so young.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, I'm about to turn 40, so I'm about to celebrate my 40th birthday in September. So,
Okay, so I would not have known that. I would have not have known that. So that's awesome. I mean, you're still so young.
thank
You're
you.
still so vibrant. You still have a lot of
Yeah,
vitality, that
thank you.
youthful energy. I'm telling you because, when you're talking about being from Scotland, being born in Scotland,
Mhm.
and then going to different places like London, Scotland is home for you. What do you feel like will always be home for you? What are some of the things in Scotland that you can find nowhere else?
That is a very good question. I mean, the people, the people. If you've ever have you ever been to the UK, Jerome?
I've only been to like I dipped my toe in France. I spent some time in
Mhm.
Italy.
Okay.
I spent some good time in Italy. I've been to Sweden, Switzerland.
Hmm.
Would you consider nah, that's like a little bit
That's
out.
Europe. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Europe.
So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've been to Europe, but not majorly in the UK. So not really
Okay,
London, no nowhere
okay.
like that. No.
Well, I highly recommend coming to Scotland because spiritually, Scotland, I mean, most of like Scotland and Ireland, the Celtic places are, I would say, like spiritually and energetically profound.
Mm,
Like I had a spiritual awakening in 2015, I think it was, 10 years ago, on the island of Orkney, which is in Scotland.
mm,
And I spent a lot of times in the ancient stone circles up there. And I really like, I feel like I was like hit by a lightning bolt there, like, and I was the only person in the stone circles that day. And it was a beautiful sunny day,
whoa.
and I felt like energetically something happened, something shifted within me. And yeah, it's such a fantastic and fascinating place to be. Like energetically,
Mm.
culturally as well. Like we've got a very like ancient culture. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the people are amazing. Like you'll never find anyone else in the world like a Scotsman or woman. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And such a rich history,
Hmm.
just so many stories. And like what you were describing, Iona, like it just kind of gave me a picture or painted a picture of, like ley lines and,
Hmm.
people doing like geomancy and people like working with the energy of the earth and just, going around and to these energetic centers and these points and these rocks and these mystical places in nature, and it really sounds like you soaked up that energy.
I think so, yeah. I am obsessed with like the nodal points where the lines cross, where the energy lines cross. And I do a lot of meditating on the nodal points, on the cross points. And there's groups here in Glasgow in Scotland that study the tracks, the Laylines dream tracks, whatever you want to call them. And they do lots of fun stuff like group meditations on the lines or the tracks, and like lucid dreaming and fun things like that. So there's loads of stuff happening, and I think more and more people, more and more young people, and older people as well, who were not really into this stuff before, are kind of feeling like it might be it might be a thing, might be a real thing. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm obsessed.
Okay, okay. And when you said you went to London, Iona, you said
Mhm.
that you got a little burned out and came back. What was it that really like fizzled out that flame or burned you out in that way?
I was working in the fashion industry,
Mhm.
Jerome. I worked, so I trained in the fashion industry and I moved into London to work predominantly in the fashion industry. And at the time in 2009, when I lived there, it was the end of, or it was just at the time of the financial crash. And I worked in luxury fashion, and nobody was buying or making luxury fashion at that time, or at least it was very challenging to find work in that industry at that time. So I ended up having 3 or 4 jobs at one time to just keep myself going, because London is a very expensive place to live. Like, it's a very challenging place to live. Energetically, it's not a fun place to be. I don't enjoy being in London. I feel like they've done a lot of damage to the nodal points, to the grid in London, to mess with the energy. So I had a bad time. I was also drinking alcohol
Mm.
and using drugs to get through, essentially, and eating. I mean, I wasn't really eating, I'll be honest with you. So when I did eat, it was when I was at my places of work. So I waitressed, I worked in bars, I was doing some self-employed fashion work, and I was working in the fashion industry as well for a company. So all of that culminated in me having like an almost a mental breakdown. And I was 23 years old at the time, and yeah, I had major burnout, mental breakdown, took far too many drugs, and drank far too much alcohol, and it was just a bad time. And I
Okay.
feel like from that point onwards, like my health, like my physical body and my emotional body and my mental body and my spiritual body all just started on this like downward spiral
Mm.
towards like my mid 30s, when everything was just like, no, we're not playing this game anymore.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Wow, from 23. Oh my gosh. Thank you just first of all, thank you for just telling that testimony and just being vulnerable in your honesty, talking about where you were at that time and what you had to do to get through that
Mhm.
period where you're working 4 jobs at the same time. Geez, like
Yep.
how much time is there in the day, in the week to be working like 4 jobs? You must have been working like 80 hours,
Yep,
a week.
I
And
was.
I mean, you said you needed, like at the time, alcohol and substances to get you through. So, what were the substances that you felt that you needed to get you through that time that kind of held you up at that time? Like, what was the alcohol and the substances doing to help you at that time?
Yeah. So the things I was taking was mostly like, it was class A's, it was class B's, it was all different kinds. And the alcohol was mostly spirits, beer, food wise, a lot of pasta, a lot of fast dishes, fast food, quick meals.
Mhm.
And apart from giving me like physical energy, it was giving me, or what I thought was physical energy, it was giving me focus, and it was giving me the feeling of belonging, because a
Mm.
lot of these substances and alcohol was taken with other people. And I was really lonely at that point. Like, all the people that I knew were quite far away from me, like in the city. I lived in the east, no, sorry, the far west of the city, and all my friends were like in the south and the east. And the people that I was living with at the time were cabin crew for an airline. So one of them I would see maybe once every 2 weeks, and the other one I would see maybe once every couple of weekends, because they'd be, working. So the need to belong, like the need to feel like I was part of something, and also peer pressure. Like, I had this severe needs to please others,
Right.
to please and appease.
Yeah.
And if somebody offered me something, didn't want to say no, because I didn't want to upset them,
Right.
right? And this is stuff that I do in my work now, like, and with other people. It's like going through the trauma responses of like fawning and realizing that setting boundaries,
Mm.
right, and deciding what you're available for, and what
Right.
you're not available for is so important in life.
No, I agree. I agree, definitely. And just, as you're taking us down memory lane, like it's really relatable. It's very relatable, not only to myself, but I know many others that battle with peer pressure, that battle with approval, that
Mhm.
battle with, pleasing, people pleasing, wanting to be part of the crowd, wanting to belong to a group, to a clique, to a tribe, to a gathering, wanting to belong to a community, of people, whatever they may be doing, whether it be positive or negative, for your health and well-being, to have that feeling that you're with someone else, you're with other people that are doing the same things that you are doing. And so, they say it all the time, that it loves company. We love company no matter what it is. We could be miserable, but we still love company within the misery,
Mhm.
So my goodness, when you're talking about this, because I can relate when it comes to wanting to please others and doing things that my soul was not really in alignment with or in agreement with, but I was still doing it anyway against my own gut guidance, my gut intuition. My gut instincts are telling me no, but I just did it anyway, against my best wishes. So, what do you feel like? Was there anything in childhood? Was there anything in your environment? Or was there anything when you grew up before 23 that you felt made you more susceptible to, I guess, that influence, of other people when it came to like alcohol, substances of that nature?
Absolutely. I grew up in quite a challenging environment and with a parent who used alcohol and food as a way of self-soothing. And this parent also was on a permanent diet, right? They were permanently dieting. They had a very negative relationship with their self,
Mm.
and they were constantly criticizing themselves. Both parents, in fact, were constantly criticizing themselves. And I learned that because I had no other reference point, I learned that is what I must do too. So observing that kind of behavior, picking up on that, and also observing the use of external substances, whether it be food or what drugs or alcohol, whatever, to self-soothe because there's a part of the self that needs its needs to be met, right? And it was a very tough time. I experienced a lot of verbal and emotional abuse in
Mm.
childhood, and I also experienced a lot of just loneliness, periods of loneliness, right? I had two siblings. I was the eldest, and I was kind of expected to know what to do. I was
Wow.
expected to know how to live and behave, right, without actually getting taught how to do this, how to live, how to behave. It was expected of me to just know what I'm supposed to be doing
Wow.
instead of being shown what to do, right? So yeah, it was a very challenging time, and I didn't actually realize how bad it was because most of us think, many of us, even though we have bad experiences or good or bad experiences, we don't have anything to compare it to. So we just think I was like, oh, I had a normal childhood, right? I had a great childhood. It's great. It was great in the sense that I lived in the countryside, right? I grew up on farms in the countryside, so I was able to stay out till 11 p.m. at night with, obviously no mobile phones because this was the 90s, and play in the countryside and the woods and the forests and really spend a lot of time in nature, which was so healing for me, I think, at that time.
Mm.
But many of us, when we reach maybe like our mid 30s, certainly was for me, I realized that, oh, actually, maybe I didn't have such a good time, especially because I was dealing with all of these challenges, health challenges, right? Emotional, physical, mental, spiritual health challenges. And I did a lot of deep diving, which made me transition from the fashion industry into the work that I'm doing now, which is coaching and counseling and helping other people
Right.
move through their own difficult life experiences.
Wow. Wow. So first you had to move through your own, you know you had to pull yourself out of that situation, and then now you're helping other people do the same. You're helping
Yeah.
other people do what you had to do for yourself first. You're helping other people do that. I think that's tremendous, just to have that calling to give back in that way, or to reach back in that way, and to help somebody along the journey that you've already crossed, to say like, hey, I've been down this road. I see the potholes, in the road. I've been down that road. So I know where you're going. I know where it's going. I know where the energy's flowing. So just thank you for that, because man, something you said, Iona, really struck me, and it's true. We often think, oh, I just had a normal childhood. We don't know any different. We don't know any better. We don't know any other. Like what other childhood is there to compare it to? When you're talking about childhood, is like, hey, I guess I had a normal childhood. I had normal parents. I had normal upbringing. It was normal. And then it was only later on that you look back in reflection to have that deeper connection to say, wait, that maybe that wasn't normal. Like maybe that wasn't how things were supposed to be. So what do you feel like was, when you're talking about physical, ailments, or physical complications or confrontations that you met up with due to your lifestyle, that made you have to turn around? Like there was a point of no return. When did it get to that point in your 30s where you just completely went in another direction?
Because I have quite an addictive personality, because well, for a long time I was using external things, right, to heal, to self-soothe, or to do what I thought was healing, which it was not. I became obsessed with working out, became obsessed with physical exercise, and running was the thing, like running on the treadmill was the thing that really helped me. I loved it. Was the high that I got, right? Because I didn't want to take as much substances anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had moved back to Scotland from London, and I had started working on a therapy business, right? I created a business, creative therapy, right? Art therapy, where I was going around schools and hospitals and businesses, teaching people and helping, counseling people through challenging experiences, traumatic experiences, using through the medium of art, right? And as I was doing that, I realized that my lifestyle was not sustainable. And it also felt very just unaligned and not right for me to have this lifestyle, but then be going out and meeting people and trying to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right, I have to change lanes. I have to stop drinking so much alcohol. I have to stop taking so many drugs and just clean my act up. And I need to focus on my passion, right, which is helping people.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to run every day, started hitting the treadmill every day. And for about 2 years, I was running every day. And I just like the feeling that it gave me, like the high that it gave me was so good. And I just felt like I was so fit. At least I thought I was on the outside, right? On the outside, I was so fit and like happy. And I felt like, okay, this is it. Like I found my thing. This is it. And then so I was maybe doing about 5 kilometers a day, I would say. Almost every day, sometimes not every day, but most days, right? 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
And then I started having really bad joint pain in my knees and my hips.
Mm.
And it got worse. It got gradually worse and worse and worse. So I started to reduce my time on the treadmill until I couldn't run anymore. Like I was struggling to walk. Like I couldn't get up the stairs in my apartment, in my flat,
Whoa.
because it was the pain, the inflammation in my knees was so big. I went to see a physiotherapist here in Glasgow, and I have a video on my phone, and it's me standing on one leg. I'm wearing shorts, and he films me standing on one leg trying to squat. And my kneecaps are huge. They're so swollen. I have so much inflammation in my kneecaps. And he was like, "You need to go and speak to someone about this. This isn't this isn't good." So I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, got arthritis. Looks like arthritis." And the options are medication, 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 shots, steroid shots, like all of these things. Even though I had like major inflammation in my knees and in my hips as well, it was so painful. I had very little cartilage left in my
Mm.
knees, right? It was so painful. It was like bone on bone. It was horrendous. And on top of that, I was also experiencing digestive problems. So a lot of like swelling. I can send you a photo actually of me when I had just kind of transitioned from like my intense running phase to doing more like weight training and things, because I thought, okay, I need to stop with the cardio, slow down the cardio, let's transition to weight. And I took a photo of me. I was doing that thing where you take a photo before you start your workout, and then in a month's time you take another photo. But I never did take that other photo in the month's time because things just got worse, right? So, and you can see in this photo that I've taken, I'm wearing like a sports bra, and
Mm.
my like middle is exposed,
Mm.
and the swelling, you can actually see swelling from in my esophagus, like in my GI tract, like
Mm.
it's really inflamed. And yeah, so there was lots of digestive problems, lots of skin issues, right? Eczema, psoriasis, anxiety and depression, right? Panic. I'd always had a little bit of anxiety and depression in my life, especially like growing up. I really I struggled to feel good. I struggled to feel good about myself. I struggled to feel hopeful about the world and hopeful about life. And because one of the things that I work on, especially with my clients, is feeling good enough, right? I never felt good enough, no
Wow.
matter what I was doing. And I feel as well this is probably why the alcohol and the drugs happened a lot, was because that was the thing that made me feel something, made me feel good enough in that very split second moment. So there was so much happening in my physical body that, yeah, it was really, yeah, it was really challenging. Physical body, mental body, emotional body. Like I was constantly asking, like, why?
Mm.
Like, why has this happened to me? Because I was of the belief system that things like this happen by accident,
Mm.
right? It just happens, right? I just happened to get arthritis. I just happened to have all these digestive problems. I just happened to have skin issues and short-sightedness and all these other things that were happening. In fact, I have a list. I have like a big list of stuff. Kidneys, right? My kidneys, I was having constant UTIs, like urinary tract infections,
Wow.
sore kidneys, like there was blood in my urine constantly.
Oh.
So the GI tract stuff was, I was getting acid reflux. I had difficulty swallowing my food, right? When I was eating, it felt like there was something stuck there just because it was so inflamed.
Mm.
And also as well, like, so going back to the mental health thing, like I felt like panic, in a constant state of panic all the time. I felt like so depressed most of the time. I felt like that whole I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, oh, I must be getting punished, right? This must be happening because I'm not good enough or because I've done something but wrong.
Mm.
So yeah, all just culminated into that. And there is diabetes that runs in my family. So diabetes and kidney problems run in my family, and I was skating on thin ice in terms of the diabetes. Even though I wasn't overweight, my pancreas function and all that stuff was just not, it was not good. And I had to go for regular doctor's appointments
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I wasn't diabetic.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was not good times. This was 2019.
Okay, so this was after, because you said you had a spiritual awakening in 2015.
Hmm.
So this is in 2019 where things just got
Hmm.
progressively worse and
Yeah.
culminated into just this point of no return where you're like, I gotta make a decision. But did the doctors, I mean, because you go to your physiotherapist, he looks, at your cartilage, he looks at your knee, he looks at the inflammation, and he's like, hey, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what you want me to do. You gotta go to a doctor. And then you go to the doctor and he's like, hey, you're going to need these steroids, you're going to need these shots, you're going to need this medication indefinitely. Like, who knows, how long you're going to be taking this stuff. And at any point, did anybody ask you about your diet or your lifestyle or your food? Nobody, no one.
Nope, no one, not a single person. The physiotherapist referred me to, uh, and the name of it has just completely escaped from my mind, where they use the really thin needles, acupuncture.
Okay.
So the physiotherapist referred me to an acupuncturist who was very into the whole alternative medicine thing, and recommended that I try some herbs to help with the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, there was no questions about what I was doing, right? What I was eating, what I was putting in my body, what I had put in my body,
Mm-hmm.
what was happening emotionally, like all of these things, because it's all interlinked, isn't it, Jerome? Like the mental body, physical body, emotional body, spiritual body, they're all one. And I feel like modern medicine, allopathic medicine, has cut it all off. It's compartmentalized all of these types or all of these bodies,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, no one ever asked me the question.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
and
So then,
it's really common, especially in the UK, I feel like, because the UK, we have a National Health Service, right?
mhm,
So I feel like, yeah, I'm not familiar with what it's like in the States, but
pretty
in
much.
the
Yeah.
UK,
Yeah. Pretty much. In
yeah,
the States, the same way. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, everything's very much like this is how you do it. And also in the UK, we have really long waiting times, right, for
Mm-hmm.
doctors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's even going to the doctors over here is quite a stressful experience,
Mm-hmm.
because it can take so long to actually get seen. And at one
Yeah.
point, I was just so frustrated because I was just getting like appointment after appointment, waiting maybe like 4 to 6 weeks on this appointment. I would get there and they would be like, just have some drugs, have some more drugs. I'm like, I've had enough drugs. Like,
Yeah. I even know about people, I mean, I just talked to somebody the other day and his appendix had ruptured, like he almost was about to go into sepsis and he still had to wait like 45 minutes to an hour in the emergency room just to meet with somebody, and he's
wow,
going through something that could have, he could have
it
died
kills him.
right there in the waiting room in the lobby. So I know what you're talking about. It's like, yeah, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. So after that point, I mean, what what changed? What was that point after that launched you into this, that launched you into a new lifestyle, a new style of living that was a lot more giving to you instead of draining for you, that was more gaining for you and self-sustaining for you at that moment?
From that point of my spiritual awakening, let's call it, in like 2015, I'd quit the fashion industry. I was still doing odd jobs here and there, but I was working predominantly on my therapy business, right, my creative therapy business, and my belief system had completely shifted into more focused on wanting to call the right things towards me, right, attracting the right things towards me,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at my belief system, really looking at what I believe to be true about myself, knowing that that is what creates my reality. What I believed was that I was working on, shall we say, I was working on the belief that maybe I was good enough, right? Maybe I was worthy of a good life.
Mm-hmm.
And when all this negative health stuff, when all these negative health experiences happened, I felt like it was maybe, I don't want to say blessing because it was horrendous. It was horrific, but I felt like there was a purpose to it. Like I felt like like I had attracted this to me because I knew deep down that what I had done to my body was not good. So I knew that there was cause and effect happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believed wholeheartedly that I was gonna find a solution. Right? I was
Yes.
gonna find a solution. I was so solution oriented, like I'd shifted from being problem focused to being solution focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have this amazing group of friends, right? This really one of the things that's so phenomenal about this planet is the amount of people, amazing, beautiful people on it, right?
Mm,
And I had distanced myself from family, and I had found a chosen family. I created a chosen family.
mm,
And this chosen family was made up of lots of different people from very different backgrounds,
mm.
right? Because I feel like, what is it they say? Like something is I've forgotten the term, but it's like having lots of different perspectives in your life, like really makes for such an interesting and fascinating life, or at least that's what I believe.
For sure.
And one of my friends, I remember being walking in the park, and it was just the start of lockdown in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with this friend who has a very alternative background. And I was just complaining at him about the pain. I was struggling to walk with him, but he was like, "Come on, let's go for our mental health walk," right? Which everyone was doing like during the lockdowns. Let's go for a mental health walk. So went for this walk, struggling to walk, and he's like, "What's going on? I wonder what is going on." And I'm like, "Ah," and I just like like verbally vomited at him like all of these health problems that was happening. And he was like, "Have you tried fasting?" And
Mm,
I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well," so I had been practicing intermittent fasting for years,
mm-hmm.
but like when I was doing the running and all the kind of all that kind of stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I know fasting." And he's like, "No, no, 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 like water fasting." We tried water fasting. I'm like, "Nah, I don't know, like, is that not dangerous? To not eat, blah blah blah." All this like indoctrination, right? And then he was like, "What have you heard of John Rose, Dr. Morse?" And he just named off all of these people. And I had no idea. He was like fruitarianism, detox,
Mm,
regenerative detoxification, juicing,
mm.
dry fasting, water fasting, all of these things. And I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he said, "Next time I see you," in fact, at the weekend, I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday, he's like, "This weekend, I'm coming over to your house and I'm bringing all these books." And he did, right? He brought The Great Cure, he brought um, Professor Arnold Ehret's and Dr. and Spira's books, right, on rational fasting. He brought Detox, Dr. Morse's book,
Mm,
right? Detox Miracle Source book. He gave me all these links to John Rose's videos, and I was like captivated. I couldn't get enough. I was captivated purely from the stories of other people that were being shared, right? All these success stories.
mm,
And just the hope that was coming out of people that like no matter what your genetics say, no matter what other people around you say, no matter what the doctors say, no matter what you believe or have believed for a extended period of time,
mm.
that's not really how it works. Like this is how it works. This is how it works. Acid, alkali, primate, fruitarian, all of these stuff. Like it was fascinating. And that was, yes, so that was 2020.
Okay.
And I got myself a detox coach as well. So I found a girl actually through Dr. Morse's website. I found a girl who helped me initially just get relief from the arthritis pain and the
Mm-hmm.
inflammation and the digestive pain and inflammation. And the thing that was the hardest at that time was giving up gluten,
Wow.
right? Because I'd never done anything like this before, apart from my intermittent fasting here and there. And that was like I was doing, 10 hours and whatever, 14 hours, blah, blah, blah. And it was so hard. It was so hard because I was still so stuck in the belief system.
Right.
And I just was so resistant. And then I remembered that I have to do the emotional work. I
Mm,
have to do the emotional work on why I believe that I need that thing. Why am I using this external source to soothe myself when I know that I have everything within me? Like I know that I have the tools and the skill and the power within me to do this,
mm.
right? To get better physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in all the ways. So yeah, so it's been a 5-year journey for me.
Wow.
And I'm not a purist. Like I'm not a purist. I'll do extended periods of like maybe like a month to 2 months on just juice, just fruit, water fasting, kind of like mixing it up and switching up, very much listening to what my body wants, listening to what the weather's doing, right? Because it's
Mm,
really hard sometimes to stick to just fruit or just juice when it's raining so hard and so cold here in Scotland. So, so yeah, it's yeah, I believe in meeting people where they are, and I meet myself where I am in the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, what a tremendous testimony. Like what a story. I mean, geez, like I was just getting them. I was like feeling victorious and triumphant with you when you just said, I stopped being problem oriented and started being solution oriented. Like what is the solution to get away from the pollution? Like what is the solution? I'm no longer fixating on this thing that's keeping me down. I'm focused on whatever's gonna lift me up, to uplift me and to shift me and to gift me with more life and more living out of this situation and out of the frustration and just out of the stagnation and all the constipation and just everything that we deal with in the world that some of us, some people just accept, hey, it's just my luck. Hey, it's just my life. Hey, that's the roll of the dice. Hey, that runs in my family. Hey, that's just hey, it's fate. It's what but it's what you make. It's what you create. It's not your fate. It's how you take it. It's how you shape it. It's how you reframe it. It's how you retrain it. So you did this. I mean, you did it. Like, you did it. Like,
Thanks.
like that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so amazing just to be raising yourself out of that state because one of the things I love about you, Iona, is while you're speaking, I can just watch you and I love watching your eyes because your
Oh, thanks.
eyes, they go to an area where you're feeling it deeply. Like you're recalling the information, you're recalling that situation, but you can also deeply feel where you were during that time and I
Mm-hmm.
can feel you feeling it. Like I can see that you're there, you're going back there, and you see yourself during that point. And I see you seeing yourself, and you're showing it to us, like you're illustrating it. So I think it's beautiful. It's just beautiful the way that you illustrate and describe these scenarios, and you're just bringing us on this journey with you with your words,
Yeah.
because. Thank goodness for friends and support systems like your friend. What was your friend's name that gave you those books?
So that was Valdis, my Lithuanian friend Valdis.
Valdez. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Valdez. He's
Mm-hmm.
Valdez, he said, wait, have you heard of fasting? And
Mm-hmm.
you said, wait, yeah, I've done fasting. He's like, no, 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 no,
No.
no.
Mm-mm.
No, no,
Nope.
no. We're not talking about that. We're talking about fasting, like
Mm-hmm.
really diving deep, really, really going in and just really taking a deep plunge into the deep end and just seeing, how resilient and how brilliant the body can be. I mean, thank
Mm-hmm.
goodness for the knowledge that we did not
Mm-hmm.
learn in college. Thank good for John Rose. Thank goodness for the Dr. Robert Morses and the Professor Arnold Ehretts and Professor
Mm-hmm.
Spira and the people that paved the way for the people that are paving the way today. And you're one of those people, you know?
Thanks, man. Thank you. Just to say as well, like on the feeling thing, right? Um, to feel is to heal,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
the feeling is the secret, right? The feeling is how we do this stuff, right? And most of us are using foods or whatever substances as a way to feel something or not feel something.
right.
And I know that once it's really challenging to explore those feelings.
Hmm.
It's not fun going deep, digging deep, and looking at the trauma, looking at the challenging experiences, looking at the mistakes we made, admitting all that stuff, right? But once we do, there's so much release and relief that comes from that, right? Like I love watching people have that like energetic release where they have like that aha moment of like, oh my God, like of course I am good enough, or of course I just because I did this thing XYZ years ago doesn't mean I'm a bad person, or doesn't mean that I'm fundamentally flawed, or all of these things.
Hmm.
So it's so powerful and so important. And once we do that, the body, like we physically lose weight when we get lighter,
Hmm.
emotionally.
Hmm.
And it does something to our insides. It does something to our gut. It does something to our colon. It does something to our being energetically, which then impacts us physically, which just lightens us up, right? It opens all the pathways. Like it opens the pathways for detox, it opens the pathways for healing. And I feel like those, they go hand in hand, right? The emotional work and the physical work, it's so related. They go hand in hand.
For
And
sure.
with the eyes as well, like my eyes are changing color, right? So I was born with blue eyes. Through all the nonsense that I put in my body, my eyes went hazel.
Mm.
I have lots of I have orange around my eyes, right? I have sulfur, and through over the 5 years, consistent work, right? Consistent work with the diet and the herbs and the detoxing and the fat water fasting. My blue eyes are coming back.
Wow.
So it's really exciting. Like I have a friend who's an iridologist, and I see her every few years. Actually, I go and see. I've seen her maybe like 3 times in the last 5 years, and we'll take pictures and really record the progress in my eyes, and which obviously in my physical body too, because you can see that. So
It's all in your eyes.
yep.
The eyes have it, the eyes tell the story, you know, the glory, the eyes are the windows to the soul, they say, they're the
Yep.
windows. So just tremendous just to see that even your eyes are going back to where they were as a child, you
Hmm.
know, just as a child running wild, like those eyes. Now you're getting your eyes back. I just that right there is just a testimony. Just talking about like I can see, I can
Hmm.
see clearly now. You
Hmm.
know, my eyes are coming back. I have the eyes that I once had in that time because, you know, when you're talking about the indoctrination and you talked about your friend when they asked you if you knew about fasting and you kind of switched into this mode where you said, is that safe? I don't know about that. Like, I'm not too, and you were in pain in that moment. Like you're walking, you're doing your mental health walk. This is 2020. And I mean, it's not funny. You're walking, you're in pain, and he can see you're in pain, and he's like, "Hey, have you heard about this?" And there was a resistance. So can you talk about that resistance and that indoctrination that, the people, one of my friends said, it's all BS. He said belief systems. That's what he calls
Yes.
BS. So
Yes.
could you
Absolutely.
please illustrate that for us?
Yeah. It depends how bad you want it, right? I at that time was it's so much pain, but I didn't want to give up the things that were making me sick. I didn't want to give up the things that were making me ill because I knew at some level that I would have to do the emotional work. I would have to dig deep. I would have to set boundaries. I would have to do difficult things. And it was, I knew that it was going to be potentially the end of some relationships, right? And some friendships because for me to do this thing, for me to go through this detox and fasting, which I at the start thought, no, there's no way, that's impossible, right? We can't do that. You can't not eat. You can't not eat carbs and protein and blah blah blah. I knew that deep down I would have to. It would cause friction and challenges with other people. So I was so resistant to it. I was so resistant to the change at the start. Discipline is hard, right? Discipline is such a hard thing to do. It's so much easier to pick up the fork and the French fries, right? Or the candy, the sweets, the cake, the pastry. If we get into habits, right? We're creatures of habit. We wake up in the morning without even thinking we'll go and get a coffee. So everything is so unconscious. And that's really what it is, right? It's a consciousness conversation, right? At the end of the day, we're all so blinkered
Mhm.
and tunnel vision. We're too scared to look up. Because
Mm,
if you look up and if you look out, that means that you're going to have to look at yourself. You're going to have to look internally. You're going to have
mm,
to look at what you've got going on
mhm,
at an emotional level. And that's scary. That's too challenging for a lot of people. So they'd much rather stay where they are. They'd much rather stay unwell. They'd much rather stay a victim because perhaps that gives them power, right? That gives them energy. That gives them energy from others, right?
Mhm.
Sympathy, attention, whatever it is,
Right.
they'd much rather stay where they are because it's the 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 discomfort of where they are is much more comfortable than the discomfort of the outside the comfort zone. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? Like going outside the comfort zone is too scary.
Right.
So they'd rather stay where they are in pain. They'd rather stay where they are in discomfort. And that was me for a long time. That was me for the first like year and a half, 2 years of my journey. I would stop and start.
Mhm.
And I would, my partner was cooking food in the kitchen and I would be on like 3 days of like juicing and then I'd smell the food and it felt smelled so good. So I'd have a little mouthful here and there, a little forkful. And then I did some work around why am I going back to that? Like why can't I just say no?
Mhm.
And it was because I had told myself for a very long time that, oh, what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that can happen if I just
Mhm.
have a little bit here and there? Or what if the person gets upset with me because I've said no, right? What if they get upset that I've said no and I upset them? So therefore, it's better for me to hurt myself, right, than other people. And going back to the thing about like, what's only one little mouthful going to do? What's one little mouthful of food going to do?
Mhm.
Well, like when I've got nothing in my body because I've been fasting or I'm juicing or whatever, and then I have like the carb or the protein, like it's causing mayhem in my digestive system, right? With that one little bit. Or it's wasting time and money that I've put into my body because the herbs that I'm taking aren't getting to do the work that they're doing, or the it's going to take longer for that part of the body to get healed because I'm stopping it from happening by
Yeah.
doing these things. And of course we all have slip ups, we all make mistakes. I'm a like um big fan of being easy on ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Taking ourselves off the hook. And if we have a slip up, if we have a little mouthful of something here or there, like it's all good. Don't berate yourself. Don't punish yourself. Start again, right? Go back to the start. That's
Right.
been a tough one for me because I'm a punisher. I always punish myself, right? like,
Mm.
or I did anyway. So yeah, the belief system is the indoctrination is so intense.
Mhm.
But Jerome, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a huge wake up. Like even since 2020, right? Like it's just amazing, like how many people are more open minded
Mhm.
about this kind of stuff, right? Like a girl I was talking with today. Like I've been chatting with her. She runs a cafe, right? And I'm chatting with her, and she tells me that she started fasting, intermittent fasting, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. That's where you got to start where you are, right? Start off, and then it's really funny and fascinating and awesome to see like how the world is evolving and how human beings are evolving on a consciousness level. And I
Yeah.
can't wait. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
It
It already
is.
is.
It is. It already is for sure.
Mhm.
And, we're definitely, even just having this conversation, Iona, we're a part of this uprising. We're a part of this awakening. We're a part of this, rebirth, this remembrance, remembering, bringing the members back together and just coming back to wholeness, coming back to holistic, coming back to our roots, coming back to where we come from, coming back to this sacred energy, coming back to like ancestral knowledge. Like, what were we doing? Who do we think we are? Where do we think we come from? We don't we don't come from McDonald's. Like we don't come from Popeyes and KFC and just like we don't come from that. Like that's not where we come from. So I mean, just remembering who you are, remembering where you are, and just remembering like, hey, you're part of a lineage. You're part of a whole history. You're part of a whole, your ancestors. I mean, fasting was not like a fashion statement. It wasn't a fad. That was a way of life. That was like, that was normal. It wasn't normal to just be eating like we're eating and to be depleting and to be needing and to be feeding and to be like that wasn't, this isn't normal, so I just love hearing this from you because I mean, like you said, Iona, it's spreading. The knowledge is getting out there. Like people are popping up like different lights on the grid. Like they're just light bulbs are coming on and people are coming online. And one of the things that I also love when you're talking about tunnel vision, when you're talking about the horse with its blinders on and the ability to just focus and concentrate, they told me when I was younger, they labeled me with ADHD. So they said, hey, you have attention deficit. You too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I'm right there with you, sister. So, I was very heavily medicated before I got heavily meditated. I was
Mm-hmm.
medicated on a lot of pharmaceuticals, just coming
Yeah.
up and thinking that I didn't even have the ability to do the things that they told me I would never be able to do, like the normal kids.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, later on, I kind of had my own emancipation proclamation for myself. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. No medication. I'm just going to go through it. Let me just figure this thing out on my own and just stand on my own 2 feet. And I started seeing ADHD, as they labeled it, as a superpower. Like you said before, in the beginning you said I could just get obsessed and so fascinated and so enthralled with something, with a subject, or with an art form, or with this topic, or with this thing. And just that we can get obsessed with something negative, we can also be that tunnel vision for something positive. We can be so focused and so in line with something that lifts us up out of that situation. So I love that you were able to do that for yourself, and that you really started to hit the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm always learning. Like I'm always going to be learning. Like I don't know everything, don't claim to know everything about this. Like it's only been 5 years and I know people who have been doing it for 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever. So it's it's very much a process, right? And I'm in progress. And with the ADHD stuff, like it is it's challenging and I'm still working through it. I was also diagnosed with autism as well. And
Okay.
I believe it was because I mean I was let's just say I was fine up until a certain age when I received something. If you catch my drift. I received something at a certain age and then all of a sudden these symptoms appeared.
Yeah.
And that's happened quite a few times actually. I've had reactions to specific things that have been given that I did not want.
Hmm.
And luckily it's been a good maybe 30 years, I would say, maybe 35 years, let's say. So I'm going to be 40. The last one I was given was when I was maybe like, oh no, wait, it was my 20s.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Okay.
had the uh, birth control,
Uh,
contraceptive, and no, it was not fun. That was a bad experience. And I feel like that also created some complications with my health, big time. And yeah, so it's challenging. It has its challenges, and the times that I'm detoxing, the times when I'm fasting, the times when I'm just loving being on the fruit and existing is the times when I have the least symptoms,
okay.
right? It's the times when I'm the most energetic consistently, right? It's like I'm my my highest self that whole time, and it's so fun. Like it's just yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us about, you mentioned that you were dealing with arthritis, the whole list, the whole gambit, eczema, psoriasis, like even,
Mm.
the depression and all that stuff. So how did fasting alleviate those things? Like, did it eradicate certain things? Did it just kind of alleviate certain things? Did it accentuate certain things? Like, what were the main or the major differences that you could see in yourself when you really started to go the distance with the prolonged fasting?
Mm. Energy, first of all, was the main one because
Mm,
before I was so sluggish, I was so fatigued all the time,
mm,
and so energy, and then the skin cleared up. I did lots of parasite protocols and did regular colonics and enemas and the
mm,
stuff that was coming out of my body. I have a photo album shown I kept photos of what was coming out of me, and it is horrendous. It's horrific. So
You talking about
whenever,
like parasites and
uh-huh.
plaques?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know it was fast. It's fascinating. I love it. It's so good. Like it, but it's it's when it's happening, you're like, oh my god, what is this? Is terrifying. So
Okay.
yeah, I kept a photo album, and every time somebody would ask me about it, I'd be like, you want to see?
Here you go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Here you go. This is why you should detox. This is why you should fast. So yeah, I
Wow.
did all of these things and all these. I was experiencing a lot of results like energy, skin
Mm,
clearing up, kidney pain. That was a big one.
mhm,
Specifically when I was doing the juicing, and that's when I realized, okay, I need to slow down with the juice, start eating more fruit,
mhm.
maybe slow down with the water fasting, focus on the fruit for a while. Kidneys started to get a lot better, and then I kind of went on with the water fasting, went on with the juicing. So it's kind of like I'm just mixing it up a lot
Mhm.
of the time for the past 5 years,
Yeah.
and the inflammation in my knees went down within the first like maybe 6 months or so of
Beautiful.
continual juice feasting, fasting, water fasting, and fruiting.
Beautiful.
And 2023, so 2019 was when I had to stop running.
Okay.
And in 2023, I was able to do 3K on the treadmill without any pain.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow. Well,
cried. I cried my eyes out, Jerome, on the treadmill in the gym.
oh my
Like
gosh. I was
it
just
was
about
such.
to ask. Yeah, I was just
Mhm,
about to ask, like, what was the emotional reaction to
mhm.
that? Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it was amazing because so throughout that time I've been doing a lot of like light exercises, right?
Hmm.
Um, I know that you do qigong. I did a lot of qigong, right?
Hmm.
Visualized like the light in my knees, going down to my knees, and just did a lot of visualization practices, a lot of grounding practices,
Hmm.
and just really focusing on my hips and my knees predominantly.
Hmm.
That the cartilage is going to come back, like knowing this knowingness that my knees are going to get better. I'm going to be able to move. I'm not going to have any pain anymore.
Right.
So yeah, and I was really careful. Like I would go on the treadmill and I'd walk.
Hmm.
I wouldn't run. And I think that day that I was on the treadmill, I had just completed like a fast, like a couple of days, like maybe like a 48-hour water fast or something. And
Hmm.
I was feeling really energized. And I was like, do you know what? Just I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see how I get on, and I'm gonna stop as soon as I feel like it's time to stop.
Hmm.
And I just kept going. I kept going, and I hit like three k, and then I was like, I'm gonna stop here. I know that I could keep going, but I want
Hmm.
to just stop here because I just feel like I don't want to go too crazy,
Right.
right now because hadn't been on the treadmill in like a year. Well, not running anyway, in
Hmm.
years. It was just such an amazing feeling. Like I was so proud of myself
Hmm.
for doing all that work, right? Going through all the bad times, having the wins. It was such a good feeling.
Hmm.
And yeah, so knees, there's still some popping and clicking that happens when I'm going up the stairs, when I'm walking and bending and things like that. But it's getting less.
Getting less.
I know for a fact that there's cartilage there. Like I know for that there's no pain there. I don't feel like the bone on bone again. So yeah, I'm
Beautiful.
pretty confident that with more consistent work, my joints will be better than ever. Maybe who knows?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, just to know the body can rejuvenate, can regenerate, can revitalize, can just be reinvigorated and be restored and just feel reborn and feel resurrected. Like to know that the body can do this and to know that you're doing this for yourself, that you can heal yourself, you
Yeah,
know?
so
And
fun.
I mean, it's amazing. It's just like just to have that power. And I
Mm,
feel like it's within our divine design because a lot of the time we don't have to do anything. It's everything that we're doing and everything that we're chewing that, like you said before, is just prolonging the detox process. It's like
mhm.
all that we do have all we have to do is just pause, and our body just says, okay, I'll take it from here. Like let me take it from here. I got you.
Yeah.
And we feel that we know the best thing for our body, but it has its own intelligence. It's integrated. It has its own just really just divine intelligence. It understands what it needs, and it's just like the mind just needs to get out the way. Just move the
Mhm.
mind to the side and just let the body do its thing. So this is so awesome. I mean, you know, when you're talking about this stuff, it lets a person know that it's possible. You
Mm.
know, a lot of people, like I said before, they've given up. They kind of like, okay, I don't see a way out of this. I'm just going to listen to the doctors. Clearly, they must know more than me. They got the degree, you know. So let me
They
just
can
listen to.
memorize stuff. Big whoop, you know? They're
Mhm.
good at memorizing.
Right, right.
So am
So
I.
just the ability to trust,
Yeah.
to really put faith and trust in yourself and to say that, you know what, I'm going to do something that the majority of people are not doing in order to feel something, that is priceless. Because
Yeah.
I can only imagine like that feeling after years of not being able to run, after years of not getting on the treadmill, and then finally being able to get back on. I mean, that feeling is priceless. That's got to be priceless.
It
Yeah.
really was. And there's a saying, Jerome, it's in order to experience what many people never experience, you have to do what many people aren't willing to do.
Mm,
Right?
yes.
So in order for me to experience that, like that profound just joy and excitement of like, oh my God, I did it. Like I did it. I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm 4 years, 5 years, whatever, 6 years. It's like actually, yeah, I'm potentially
Mhm.
more healthier than I was like in my late 20s.
Yeah.
Like I feel it. Like I feel in my body that I am physically, internally a lot better off than I was. And there's still a ways to go, but I'm here for it. I'm here for a
We-
good time and a long time, right?
Yes, yes, a good time and a long time. I love your I love your perception
Thanks,
that you
man.
put your progression over perfection. You know, that you say, you know what, progress. Hey,
Hmm.
forget we're making progress. I'm moving forward, I'm moving onward, I'm moving upward. The graph is trending up and to the right. That's all I need. That's all I need is I'm putting one foot in front of the other. That's all I need. So you've already succeeded. You have all that you needed when you're like, okay, at least I know where I came from. I know where I was. I'm not there now. That's progress.
Absolutely. And I
That's
could stop. I could stop if I wanted to, but I don't want to stop. Like it's too good.
Yeah, yeah, and just to be your own scientist in your own laboratory, doing your own experimentation with juices, herbs, teas, water, like you're just playing around with it and just seeing where it takes you, just seeing where the body goes and how the energy flows in that way. And also giving yourself that compassion and having self-acceptance, not like like cracking the
Yeah.
whip on yourself that we tend to do when we, get into the downward spiral of the cycle of the guilt and the blame and the shame, all of those games, they keep us, in those binging cycles or in those, unhealthy habits. It's like, yeah, you're just, no, you're just flipping that on its head and you're like, no, I'm just going to give myself all the love, all the acceptance, all the compassion, all the gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a something for the viewers,
Mm,
that when you feel like you you want to beat up on yourself, right?
mm,
Or you're feeling like you need to crack the whip.
mm,
Ask yourself, what must I believe is true about myself? What must I believe is true about myself to want to do this or to feel like I have to punish myself? Do I believe that I'm not good enough? Do I believe that I'm unworthy? I believe that I'm a bad and flawed person? I believe that I don't deserve this? Do I believe that I'm not powerless, that I'm hopeless? Whatever it is, like we always have an underlying perspective there that keeps us coming back. Do I believe that when I punish myself, it means that I'm keeping myself grounded? Do I believe that when I crack the whip, it makes me work harder and faster, whatever? There's
mm,
always something there that isn't that we're perceiving as our truth when it actually is not. It's not our fundamental truth, right? Our fundamental truth is that we're all worthy, we're all good enough, we're all deserving of like health, right? Vitality, freedom. ease, whatever it is that we want. We're always hope. There's always hope, right? No matter how bad things get, we always have power, no matter how powerless we feel. All of these things, right? What do I believe is true about myself? Like, what's my fundamental truth about myself in order to be having these desires to punish myself
Mm.
or stop myself from keep myself from having the wins and celebrating and feeling that feeling of joy and excitement that comes with staying the distance, being
Yeah.
dedicated, having some discipline.
Yeah. Great question. Great question. It's like, okay, so about what do you feel you deserve? Like, what do I believe is true? Is that the question?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. What I believe is true about myself.
Okay.
What's my truth? What's my fundamental truth about myself?
The fundamental truth, not the truth that's been told or the truth that's been sold or,
Hmm.
that's been controlled. Like, what is the fundamental truth that I
Yeah.
believe?
Yeah, because many of us we carry toxic shame, right?
Yeah.
Toxic shame is such a huge thing
Yeah.
that is like a curse, right, on the human. And toxic shame says that I'm fundamentally flawed, I'm fundamentally bad, I'm fundamentally wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong with me. So, because many of us have been made to feel that way about ourselves, whether it be parents, school, whatever it is, family members, caretakers, guardians,
Mm,
society in general, right?
mm,
So, what do we believe about ourselves? What's our fundamental truth? Like, are we fundamentally bad? I believe that many human beings are born good, right? That human beings are a tiny baby isn't gonna, most of them right, are not gonna want to go out and do something bad. Um, there is an argument, for nature versus nurture when it comes to that kind of thing, right? But I believe that fundamentally human beings are born good, and
mm.
that it is through our environment, through conditioning, through the world that we learn how to live and behave. So people make mistakes, right? Because if someone was to make a mistake, does that mean that they're fundamentally a bad person? So maybe mean that they've got a little bit of learning, a little bit of accountability to do, a little bit of realization, right? A little bit of habits to look at. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. And my last question for you would be for anybody, if they're listening to you, Iona, and they're telling themselves, well, I've never even done a day of fasting, even if it's been decades and I still haven't gone a day of just being on water or just being on, just nothing at all and just allowing my body to rest and, to finally rest and digest in that way. What advice would you give to a person that hasn't even started, but they see similar ailments and illnesses and disease in themselves that they hear you saying that you cured yourself of? They're wanting to go down that path, but they're wondering, where do I start? Like, where do I begin? What would be like maybe the first steps that you would say they should take?
I love hearing other people's stories and reading as much information on a subject as I can before I start doing it.
Mm,
And when it came to the fasting, it was Professors Eretz and Spira that I really looked at when it came to the fasting side of things. And just taking in as much information as I could from the people with the decades of experience
mm,
and really soaking it all up, like being a sponge to that information
yeah,
because there's so much of it out there, right? There's Gillian Berry's YouTube channel, right? There's yourself. There's all of these people who are out there who are providing an amazing, immense service to humanity, and there's so much information, and and you can find it on YouTube for free, or
yeah,
Instagram for free, or TikTok for free.
yeah,
So go and look, go and search. Use your discernment. Yeah, use your discernment. Some things will work for you, some things won't work. You might find that your belief system aligns with some people more than others, and that's cool, right? So just explore
yeah,
and have fun with it. Explore and have fun with it.
yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Seek and ye shall find.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, like knock and the door shall be opened unto you. You know, you gotta
Yeah.
look, you know, it's not gonna just fall in your lap. You gotta go. You gotta look, you
Hmm.
gotta be a seeker. You gotta look for it, but it's there. It's there
Yeah.
for you to find it. You know, the treasure is there. It's there. So it's there for those. It's not for the chosen few, but for
Mm-mm.
the few who choose.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So good. That you make that into a meme. To a meme.
You're giving this to me. You're giving this all to me, Iona, you
Oh,
know? So thank you so much for that. You know, thank you for coming here today just for the community,
thank
just
you.
to raise the awareness, to raise this consciousness and just bringing your confidence. Thank
Thanks, man.
you. We needed this. We needed this
Thanks.
today for sure.
Yay.
And just, you know, if this was somebody's first time encountering you and they're seeing you and they're like, I love her story, I love her journey, I love her power, you know, and I really want to get more in touch, more in tune with her, maybe to see if Iona has any offerings, any services, anything that I can really get a grasp of. What would be the best places for people to go to get more information on what you do?
So my Instagram, I'm pretty good on Instagram. I'm on it constantly.
Okay.
It's Iona, Iona underscore Barker, Barker underscore. TikTok, same, Iona Barker, TikTok. Got a YouTube channel, Iona Barker. So my YouTube channel and TikTok focus mostly on my coaching work, right? So my coaching and counseling work with emotional stuff. But on Instagram, I'm kind of like moving towards the detox and fasting. I'm kind of dipping my toe in the water. And you can also email me if you have a question. You can email me at assistant@ionabarker.co.uk. And yeah, I've got a website, but again, that's for my coaching and counselling practice as well. Worth checking out, ionabarker.co.uk.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, thanks,
Iona,
man. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you. Thank you. The honor
Thanks for
is
your
mine.
time.
And just
Yeah,
enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest
thanks.
of your day and just
Thanks.
much love. Much love. Can't wait to see where you grow from here. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Have a good day. All the
Bye-bye.
best. Bye.